Which of these two cubes should you buy? Let's take a deep look into which of these mid-range speed cubes is for you, starting with the XMan Tornado. This cube is focused on adjustability and a range of possible users rather than the actual turning. You may already know that the XMan Tornado has a large issue with lockups, blocky turning and its below average corner cutting. But that can be put aside for a moment whilst we take a look at the features of this cube. I'm personally a big fan of this tensioning system because it only requires this one base tool and you can change out the ends for different purposes. I think that's really efficient and effective. It's also really easy to adjust as you can turn it clockwise for spring tensions and anti-clockwise for the axis distance. There are a total of 25 different changes to be made under the center cap. Sadly, with every good thing comes a downside in that this cube doesn't actually allow you to take off this system, meaning you can't lube the spring and it could result in spring noise. But from my experience, this actually hasn't occurred, so it's not that big of an issue. This cube has magnets that can be adjusted in 5 different ways using this same tool. Once again, really good idea from XMan. Sadly, this has to be adjusted 32 times, which is twice on each edge piece because the top one doesn't change for the bottom one, which is quite annoying. Finally, this cube is slightly smaller than most at 55mm, which is surprisingly noticeable when using this cube, especially after turning a slightly larger cube. Now let's focus on the MGC EVO. The turning on this cube feels dry in some ways, which makes it feel fast but sometimes not that controllable. The MGC has 11 different tensioning settings and is sadly not a dual adjustment system. This means that you can only adjust it in one way, which is the spring compression. You can't change axis distance and other things like I said on the XMan. I like how you can easily change the settings with your fingers and you do not have to use a tool. It annoys me that the pieces are clear because it can make it hard to see what setting you are on. What I like is that you can take out the tensioning system, which allows you to lube the spring and the housing, which can be beneficial in reducing spring noise, but it's never been too much of an issue for me personally. This cube has 6 different ways that you can adjust the magnets, which is great because you can match your preference with ease. To do this, you are provided with a screwdriver, and like I've said before, this looks suspiciously similar to the GAN screwdriver. This is the MGC, this is the GAN screwdriver. There's something going on here. So now let's go on to the comparison of these two cubes. Starting with the boxes of each of these cubes. It can be a big thing for some people, but not for me. I prefer the MGC box as it just looks nicer and a lot sleeker, very well designed, whereas the XMan Tornado box is just a bit, average. I also think that this box is way bigger than it needs to be. Looking inside, you can see that they are complete opposites. This one is black and quite dark, this one's quite vibrant and red. Much like the box, I feel that the accessories box on the XMan Tornado is way bigger than it needs to be. It's quite large, but it's also quite nice. I kind of like the internals of this box, whereas this one just has a very simple, clear plastic accessories box. Now onto the actual cube comparison. As I mentioned, the Tornado has 25 different settings compared to the MGC, which only has 11, which means that clearly for me it's better to choose the Tornado on this specific part of cubes. I do like that there are no tools required for the MGC, but this is outweighed by the fact that it is hard to see what tension you are on due to the clear plastic. I really like how the Tornado has colourful numbers, which makes it really easy to see what settings you are on. Now moving on to magnets. These both have very similar magnet settings, with the EVO only having one more. Finally, which cube has better turning? I think the EVO has much better turning because it's much faster and has a lot less catches compared to the XMan Tornado, which, whilst it being quiet and quite smooth, does catch quite a lot. I don't think I could be that comfortable when turning this cube due to its locky feeling. Like just doing this, I'm having to go slower than normal just so I don't lock up. So which of these cubes do I recommend you getting? Considering for me in the UK these are exactly the same price, the answer is the MGC EVO. I just prefer it to the Tornado, but if you want to see how this MGC EVO compares to the WRM 2021, then check out this video. If you enjoyed, then please subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.